Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Emerald Coast. The time has come for the great harvest off. In this corner, we've got the Case Axle Flow 7240 harvester, and in the opposite corner, way over there, we got the Kloss Lexion, and basically we are here on field 8. And the whole purpose of this test is to see which of these two harvesters is going to be more efficient at working through this wheat. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the Case over here on this corner, and we're going to start the Kloss Lexion way over there at the other side of the field in that corner, and we're basically going to see where do these harvesters meet. Do they meet in the middle, or do they meet favoring one side or the other? And the winner will basically be the harvester that we keep and take home. Loser will be destined to the scrapyard, or should I say at least the used harvester lot. I'll be running the Case 300 Optum hooked up to the Kinsey 851 grain cart. Then we've got our semi down here around the corner on the other side of the cornfield. So basically we're going to be in charge of keeping up with both harvesters, making sure that none of them stop for any reason, because we don't want any of the results to be skewed as a result of a harvester basically filling up before we can manage to get it empty. So now that we know what's going on, go ahead and get these harvesters started, and I'll be back with you once everybody is in the go position and we have started round 1. And they are off. So to keep things fair, we've got the wonderful display up here to help us keep track of how much grain is in each harvester. We're going to try to keep them empty as best as possible. We don't want them to get too terrible close to topping off. And we can see already that the Case holds less crop than the Kloss Lexion does. So we're going to have to keep track of that. That can play into the factor of which harvester is more efficient, and the fact that we're going to have to empty Case much more frequent. Was a slight delay in getting these started, but as you can see, both basically done the first passes. They're now getting ready to make the first turn. So what we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to try to keep these as empty as possible. We're going to try to empty each of them on their respective passes when the pipe is toward or away from the field, I should say. Oh, we don't want to run over any crop. Well, we do have dry crop conditions as far as harvest goes. We are still facing quite a mud issue here on the outside of the field, especially down here. Got really bad drainage down here to deal with. Basically, need to empty our Case first, just because it is the one that is filling up as faster. You have to wait for it to turn around. We'll hit the Kloss. Now I think the Kloss does have a slight advantage as far as header width, as opposed to the Case here. The Case header is just a little bit narrower. We'll just have to see how much does that really factor into the entire equation. Since most of this challenge is going to be really just waiting on the harvesters, let's go ahead and bust into a bit of a time lapse. You can see the action while at the same time enjoying the fact that you're not having to wait for all that action to happen. Well, there you have it, guys. I think that was a rather interesting test. And I think the position that these harvesters in kind of gives it away. Now, Klaus was able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and almost 7 full passes. Meanwhile, the case was able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full passes. So that is nearly an entire pass faster in just this little field here, which, by the way, measured 6.5 acres in size. Now, I do know that well, some might say that the case was at a disadvantage because we did have to stop it for a brief period of time to unload, because it would have basically filled up on the side as it was in the crop. Obviously, we don't want to have happen, but the amount of time that sat still was not in any way the same amount of time that it would take to do an entire pass here on the field. Plus, before that even happened, you could see, go back and look at the time lapse, we'll see that case was started first. Kloss had a little bit of a slow start, but the Kloss was actually able to get to the end of his row first, turned around and get started back on the second pass before the case was able to do that. And by the time we got to the third pass, the case was just finishing the third pass, which was where we had to stop it to get a little grain offloaded so that we'd have room to continue on with the challenge. Like the Lexion was already working on their fourth pass. So, me, Loss is the winner, hands down. What we can do also is we can go ahead and do a little secondary challenge. Got field 9 here and field 10 also in wheat. And what we can do is we can set off one harvester on one field and kind of time how long it takes. Set the other harvester off on the other field and basically see how long it takes. These two fields are slightly bigger than each other. At least field 10 is slightly bigger than 9. So what we could do is we could give field 9 to the case, give field 10 to the Kloss, and basically see how long each particular harvester takes. Go ahead and get that going. First, let's get this thing offloaded. Grain. We'll have plenty of room. We're going to have to come back tomorrow and get this straw baled up. And for that, we're going to use the Kloss round baler. Give that a go. That's the combo wrapper baler. we are trying to double crop these fields. And the first harvest off is extremely important. Try to get that off in a timely manner. The other field over there is about 1 header larger. Everything lined up. This guy headed off. So it is 4:40 p.m. Okay. So I'm gonna check the clock and see when he finishes. Before we do that, let's go and empty our grain truck. That way we know we have plenty of room. Mud through here is just atrocious. Drainage is really a problem on this side. Surprised we don't lose more crop down here as a result of just grain rotting in the ground, getting flooded out, if you will. But I'll get this truck stuck. Seriously, put a issue with our testing. Oh no. Come on. I have to run back to the farm and get our I think we're gonna get this one stuck. We got her stuck, so yeah, we're gonna have to hustle back to the farm and get the grain wagons. See what kind of tractor we've got back there. Might be stuck hauling grain wagons with the new cloths we got. See if I got that truck stuck. This. Up real quick. Figure a way of getting that truck out of there. Let the ground dry a little bit. Bring some stone in, put down in there. Looking like to me that the case is just a little bit slower in getting turned around each pass as compared to the cloths. That slower getting turned around really adds up, especially on bigger fields. I think maybe with the tracks, cloths was able to turn at a tighter turning radius. The case is having to do some 3-point turns. 61%. He should be able to get down and back again. So we don't risk holding him up. We are in a timed test. One and two, so yeah, 3 passes, and we are nearly at an hour already. He has been working. This he might have another 3 passes in him at this point, so this field might take 2 hours. Got just enough off. He wouldn't fill up. So seems to be sliding around a lot here in this mud. Wondering if that's adding to the difficulties that he's experiencing. We set him off. He was nice and square when we started the course, started the field. Somehow he's managed to drift a half of a degree. Drift may also be a result of the mud. We're waiting on him. Let's go empty out this cloth. And we'll get him ready for his round 2 test. These fields are about as close in size as I have available to me. With this field being just about 1 header width wider, be just about 1 more him set up at 90 degrees to be straight across the field, and he might be a little askewed as a result of the mud. Round two, we have conducted our very best trying to make sure that this harvester stays moving. And it's just a little strip. A strip that he's missed back here, but we won't count that. We will not have to come back to complete that little bit to count the field done. It's going to fall within the margin of error. Looks like we are just under 2 hours. Started him off at what, 4:40 p.m. Now 6:33. That'd be more like 6:35 once he is done. $6:35. So that is what we're going to call it. Just a hair under. Stop this guy. Just a hair under 2 hours. Over here, and let's try to get this guy started right around 6:40, best we can. $42, close enough, and hopefully it's going to be done by 8:40. Have to wait and see. While we're waiting on him, got time to empty our case. But the cloth's dug down in the mud too. That is serious mud, and be a serious detriment to being able to get the harvest done for sure. It's already empty. Xeon is at 28%. Back here where he's at. Just done one pass, 28%. So he should be able to do another down pass, then an up pass. I don't know if I should put more grain on this thing or not. The way he's acting. Cut this guy off. maybe, oops, maybe, just maybe, we'll be in a position where we won't have to empty the grain cart here. But maybe playing into some of this challenge's results. Absolutely fine, because down here on the Emerald Coast, we have a lot of rain. The rain is very much something that we are going to have to deal with during pretty much every single harvest season. Again, is why we need to find a optimal efficiency with harvesting, because the window of opportunity we will have dry crop to be able to harvest is not a guarantee we're going to have any ample time. So if we can get in and out of the field as quick as possible, that gives us a better chance at keeping our crop harvested and losing less crop out there in the fields. That's what I'm trying to say. Here we are, we're at just under 1 hour, and we've got 3 passes done. Just might be able to get 4 whole passes before the hour's up. This harvester can manage to do this field in 2 hours or less. Then the Kloss has won both rounds. Remember, this field is slightly larger by 1 whole pass. This Kloss can do it in 2 hours or less. Means that it has harvested at least 1 additional pass down the field in the same amount of time. Count windrows of the case. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 windrows of the case, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 windrows. Took about 2 hours. We are at 7:40. Started at 7:42. Where we are at 7:42, we have 3 passes and probably 2/3 of a 4th pass after 1 hour. 2 hours would be 9 passes, basically. We have 3.5 passes. 3 and 3 is 6.5 passes, so that's, well, 7. Where am I getting? Almost 4 passes. 8. Somewhere between 7 and 8 passes. Did our best to keep the case running in round 2 without stopping. I don't think that played into the factor at all. Wider header can definitely help, but with the case holding less grain, wider header would just cause it to fill up even faster, which would make it even harder to keep empty, which would make it difficult to keep running. So the width of your header isn't the end-all be-all of getting through a field quickly. Wider the header is, the more product you're bringing into the harvester. Also means you need to be able to store that product, because the guy running the grain cart, he may or may not be able to basically get back to you quicker. he may have himself a limitation in how long it takes for him to unload, either at a truck or a grain cart along the edge of the field, or if he is running it all the way back to the farm, the time that it takes for him to unload this in the silo and get back to you. If you're sitting there waiting on your grain cart because your header is too big for your britches, if you will, then are you really saving any time? What you want to do is you want to find a good match where you're running non-stop and harvester is not sitting there idle. Obviously, there is a time where a larger header would help, is if you're easily keeping up. Grain cart is easily keeping up with keeping the harvester empty, then a larger header can help. Once you get to the point where you're having difficulty keeping up, then you definitely don't want to get a larger header yet, because you will definitely then run into the issue of having too large of a header for the harvester for the amount of time that it takes, effort that you have in order to keep it empty. Here we are basically at an hour and a half of the competition. And we might have 2 passes left. We'll have to see. And all the class has to do is basically match time with the case. The case turns so much better. But he's able to take the entire width that's left. Get in the tractor and let's haste him down there and see when he actually does finish this off. But it looks like to me that the class is going to take both round 1 and round 2. It's going to be a complete knockout for the case. It is 8:30. I think the cross is going to be able to finish earlier than the case. Do an extra pass. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 passes. We're able to keep it empty easier because it does have a larger capacity. And there we have it. 8:36 is 4 minutes, not a lot of time, but 4 minutes earlier. Case, due to the smaller header, had to do 7 passes on a smaller field. Still, I think, due to the efficiencies of the class being able to turn around easier. Basically what we have here is Case losing out to the class by a header, if you will. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that little harvest off competition. Gonna go ahead and clean up here for the night. Trying to figure out how to get our truck unstuck from the mud tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be baling our straw, which is a good thing because we're starting to run low on straw down there at the horse farm. Sorry, at the cow farm. Been going through an awful lot of straw with our milking cows, both feeding them. Oh, Gonna have to fix our tractor here. We ran into the fence. Mud really does us in up here. Between the straw that we need for the feed and the bedding for the cows are running awful low, so we could definitely use straw that's on the field. We need to get that baled up and put under roof pretty soon. And until next time, happy farming. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell.